So apparently the UN wants to take over the internet, and Google is all up in arms about it. Now, what is that expression, thou do protest too much? Because who the fuck is Google to be talking about takeovers of anything? If anyone has taken over the internet, it is Google. And Google, by extension, has control over many private files, both public and private, and it has so much leverage because of this accessibility to personal information. Nobody seems to care about that. But people are going to be quite upset that the UN is discussing giving the internet to, oh, I don't know, the governments of the world that actually do run the shit. The people that legitimately, have the legal authority to run the information and to have accessibility. But oh, no, everybody's fine and dandy with fucking Google controlling things. And that's what you see in the comment section. And I'm happy to see that more people are coming out and just saying that it's bullshit to begin with. Like, some libertarian tard or moderator psychopath will come in there and say, oh no, the UN is going to come in and make the internet unfree. And then someone comes behind them and says, how was the internet free to begin with? What exactly about the internet made it free? Were you free to say what you want to say? No. Was it free in the literal sense that it was free to use? No. So, what can the UN do any differently? I mean, in reality, how can the UN make the internet any worse than it is today? I don't think it's possible. And if it isn't possible, then why not do it? Because then all you have to do is go up from here. So, at the very least, it can't get worse, so it can only get better. And that's the reason enough to do it. But a lot of people seem to think that the internet can get worse. And my question to you is, how? How can the internet get worse than it is today, at this very moment? The fact is, you pay lots and lots of money to use the internet. The fact is, the internet is more or less an integral part to first world society. You not having access to the internet is like not having access to plumbing or electricity. It's just inconceivable in modern day society. And your information is out there no matter how hard you try to hide it. So it is always subject to being preyed upon by, fraud and identity theft and things like that. There's just no way to avoid that. I mean, you might be able to minimize your chances, but there is no absolute way to protect yourself. And on top of all of this, you don't even get the right to say what you want to say. Everywhere you go on the internet is just a lottery of whether or not you get banned. And nobody fucking cares. That's what really comes down to. It really comes down to the fact that it's not even so much these bad things exist as it is the society perpetuates them, either by ambivalence or outright procreation of it. The fact is, we don't have to have moderators. We could have moderators gone tomorrow, today. But people don't want to get rid of them. People want to make excuses for them as to why they're abusing their positions, as to why they get to do the shit that they do to people. It's because of internet moderators there is cyberbullying. It is because of internet moderators people kill themselves on fucking camera, like that Ziff kid did on 4chan. It is because of moderators that we have this hostile environment that hurts other people. It is because of moderators Anonymous exists. And Anonymous goes after children and innocent people. Because 4chan was established by Moot and his little moderator goons, and they created this bad environment, and this environment perpetuated the existence of the terrorist group known as Anonymous, who then preys on innocent people. I don't blame Anonymous in and of themselves. I blame the parental figures that created Anonymous. And who created Anonymous? The fucking moderators. Moderators created Anonymous by creating the environment that made Anonymous possible. So, how are you going to say, oh, how are we supposed to solve Anonymous? I have an idea. How about you not put moderators in a position to establish an environment that makes Anonymous possible? I'm not saying people don't have the right to anonymity. I'm not saying that we should spend millions of dollars to try to investigate and catch anonymous members. What I'm saying is, if you take away the ingredients that create that environment, you will not have the problem of anonymous to begin with. And it's just that simple. But they don't want to do that because it's too simple for them. It's too simple to do the right thing. They always want there to be, implications. They always want there to be a trial to have to go through. Something I've noticed is the more you try to ascribe to people's rules, the worse off you're going to be. I always regret respecting somebody else's rule. Always. Ever since I was a little kid. Even trying to follow the rules of my household and trying to obey my parents had always made me feel worse than if I hadn't. Yes, not obeying them got me in trouble. But you know what? It was going to suck either which way because they're stupid. People are fucking stupid. It doesn't matter if they're your friends, if they're your lovers, if they're family, if they're elected, if they're anything. People are fucking stupid. They don't know what they're doing. Even if their best interest is at heart, they don't know what they're doing. And that's the best I can say about my parents or anybody in my life, is that even though they're stupid, their heart is in the right place. And that is why I respect them. That's why I try to do what they say. But at the end of the day, I have to remember they're fucking morons. They don't know what's going on. They don't want to know what's going on. They're just going through life blindly, blah, 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 until they fucking die. So, knowing that, I have to keep the respect to a minimum. I have to, at the end of the day, remember, they're fucking idiots, and I love them, but don't listen to a fucking word they say. That's what it comes down to. And that's the people I care about. Most of you who would murder me in my sleep and fucking, suffocate me with a pillow given half the chance, yeah, I gotta be even worse than that. I not only have to reject your rules, I have to shit down your throat while I do it, because I know those rules are specifically designed to destroy me, or destroy at least somebody within that vicinity. Because that's the thing, people think that I'm just conceited. Like, I think this is about me. And it's not. What I do against moderators is not about me. Yes, it's affected me. Yes, it has specifically targeted me. But it isn't about me. It could happen to anybody. It does happen to anybody. Everybody. To some extent, moderators affects everyone. And yes, I'm a good example of how it affects everyone. But even if I was not in the picture, it would still be happening. Moderators would still exist. Moderators would still be abusing their unbridled, undeserved, unearned privilege. Moderators would still be hurting other people. It just wouldn't be me they are hurting. So for you to say that, oh, Jim Prophet's just mad because he got banned. Well, no shit. I should be mad about that. But just because it wasn't happening to me personally doesn't necessarily mean it wouldn't be happening to somebody else. And it's not even about just happening to somebody. It shouldn't happen to begin with, and it's only going to happen more often. Just because you don't think it hasn't happened to you doesn't mean it hasn't. Yes, you are affected by moderators, whether or not you choose to validate it. And while it may not be quite as blunt as it has happened to me, because you don't think about it because you're fucking stupid, doesn't mean it's not happening. Doesn't mean it isn't going to get worse. It doesn't mean at some point in your life it's going to affect you dramatically. It hasn't affected you dramatically yet, but it's going to happen. And the fact is, in reality, it hasn't affected me dramatically yet, but I know it's going to if I don't do something about it now. Right now, it's only affected me in the sense of it's robbed me of potentially having a job. It's robbed me of potentially winning contests and things. It's robbed me of $10 here and there for a video game. But all in all, moderators have not authentically destroyed my life. Because if they did destroy my life, I would kill them. I would dig up a grave and bury them in my fucking backyard. But it's going to happen when one day moderators are going to do that to me. And I can't let it get to that point. Because I don't want to be known as the guy that killed a moderator and buried him in his fucking backyard. I want to be known as the guy that made things better. The guy that made things better, not only for his own life, but for everybody's life. And I think that the UN having control over the internet might do that. To a point where we don't have to have this bottom-up revolution, because that's not going to happen. People are not going to wake up, at least not fast enough, not in the mass amounts that they need to. Not everybody needs to wake up, but there needs to be a lot more people waking up than there is now, and I don't see that happening. And I don't think a top-down revolution can really be called a revolution either. I think it can be called reform. And I think that's what this is. This is internet reform. And that isn't enough. But it's all we have, because the people are fucking idiots, they're asleep, and they don't want to wake up. So this is the best we have to look forward to. What you see now, the UN considering giving the internet over to the nations of the world, the literal government nations of the world, is the best thing we have to fucking look forward to. Because if we don't do this, then it's going to go to Facebook and to Google. Actually, it's already in their hands right now. And is that where the internet deserves to be in the hands of? Does it deserve to be in the hands of little rat-faced motherfuckers that ban you and treat you like shit and degrade you and demean you and see you as a means to an end? Or does it deserve to go to your government, who actually has your interest at heart? Maybe they don't know what they're doing, like your parents, but they do have your interest at heart. They do reflect you, because the government reflects the people of that community. And while I do not agree with the idea of nationalism, I do not agree with the idea of nation. There should be no nation. There should only be one people, because nations create conflict. When you have different nations, you have different interests. You have the interests of one nation versus the interests of another. And then they create war, because war comes from the need for another nation's resources, for another nation's, leverage. It's about politics, it's about religion, whatever. But when you simply have people, everybody's needs can be met. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. You're not ready to think about how we should just be people with our needs met. All I'm saying here is that government better reflects our needs and our wants more than these fucking corporations do. I think you can at least admit that much. Therefore, the internet is better off in the hands of the government that reflects us rather than the corporations that don't. The internet is better off in the hands of the US and Israel and Iran and Russia and China, blah, blah, blah. It's better in their hands than it is in Google and Facebook and Twitter and blah, blah, blah. Can you at least admit that much? Are you at least smart enough to admit that the government is better equipped to run the internet than fucking moderators? Leave a comment in the comment section if you can. That's it.